What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. It's Wednesday night. We're going to do a best ball draft. Obviously, BBM 4. It's pretty much everything that's running right now. But if you see the ticker down here, if we get 10 likes on this live stream, I'll do an extra little eliminator after the BBM 4 draft if we get to 10 likes. So hit that like button if you could. I haven't done any yet. I was golfing last night. That eliminator $50 entry filled up in 24 hours, which is unfortunate because I'd rather play that than the $6 little eliminator, but beggars can't be choosers. And I'll probably max that out, get some entries into that guy. It's a cool format. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun. We'll see what happens. But sorry, I was jumping in there to keep an eye on the likes. But either way, today's episode, we're going to be talking about some fades, some heavy fades. I've taken some pretty hard stances on some players. Some were on purpose, some were not on purpose. And that's on me for not keeping a close enough eye on my exposure. But it is what it is. And realistically, there's only about, two or three players on this list that realistically I should have drafted more, but we'll get into that. And I think this will, as I said on Twitter, I think this will probably offend some people. There's some fades on here that I literally have 0% exposure in 300 plus drafts to probably the biggest fantasy darling in the community right now. And I have 0% on this player. So that's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what the comments are on that. But let's dig into it. So what we got here, the ADPs, this is just the rankings. So we'll go through it this way, and then I'll pull up the guys and we'll give you a little explanation, show you my exposure on how many teams I have. So if we pop over to this one, 98 big boards. I'm not going to go through my big board exposure. That's too old. Things have changed, whatever. 312 total, regular season post NFL draft, best ball, regular best ball season teams. That's where I'll show the exposure for all of these players that I have kind of queued up. Got some weekly winners in there. That should be fun. Another cool contest. I haven't done any streams on that. I haven't done a ton of drafts. Obviously, you can tell only 10 there, but it's fun, different format, regular season sweat. But let me know if you do want some content. I don't mind doing a stream on that and just kind of winging it with you guys. I'm taking some hard stances on those as well. But let's dig into this. So we'll start at the top. Who's the first? I'm going to go ADP, start at the top, go down. I'm only going down to 100 because there's a player right at 100, coincidentally, that I really don't like, don't have a ton of exposure with to. But these are the hard stances. Like, do whatever the hell you want after, that's round 8. 100 ADP overall is round 8. So after that, you can kind of do what you want and, take some stances, whatever. I'm not going to go that deep into it, but let's dig into this. The first guy that I have on my list that's been a fade for me is Stephon Diggs. So pop over 312 drafts, variety of everything, entry fees, max, not max, whatever. Go to the exposure, 312 teams. We're going to look up Stephon Diggs. Yeah, you can see Terrace Marshall at the top there. It's good times. That's well, hopefully he's back soon. If DJ Chark is out for any extended period of time, I'm liking that a little more. Devin Singletary, we'll see about that one. Still, I think we'll have a little bit of a role, and if there is an injury, and we'll get into that in a minute. But let's dig into who we're digging into. Stephon Diggs, 3.8%, $94 in entry fees. Let's see what I got in BBM. Two of my 59. So today's episode will be my 60th BBM 4 draft. 2 in the BBM. Whoops. And 3.8% total. So my biggest reason to fade Stephon Diggs is there's just a lot of weirdness going on there. There's some issues with the coaching staff. There's an issue with Josh Allen. There's an issue that he even wants to be in Buffalo. There's just all kinds of things that keep bubbling up with Stephon Diggs. Yes, he's still one of the top wide receivers in the game. I do believe that. And I would draft him if his ADP were lower. Obviously, I would jump in there, but it's just a little too risky for me for a first round pick, especially with the likes of, Bijan, Eckler going around him, even AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, these guys going around Stephon Diggs that I think might have a similar ceiling, some higher, some lower, some similar, whatever. But a lot less risk kind of baked in with all these issues that keep popping up. So it wasn't, completely intentional. And I have been trying to mix in a little bit more Diggs here and there just to get that exposure up a little bit because he is still that good. But that's the reason why I'm fading Stephon Diggs a little bit here. Let's move on to the next guy. Next player I'm taking a pretty hard fade on. A lot of people are. Davante Adams. It's not, I'm not the only one. It's not a secret. Not a lot of people are picking up a ton of Davante Adams shares. The interesting thing with Davante Adams, and look at these numbers here, 282, 285 in overall points. That's ridiculous. That's extremely high output, extremely consistent, over 1,500 yards, 11 plus touchdowns the past 2 seasons, 100 plus catches. That's consistency that you love to see. But the weird thing about the Raiders, the whole team, is the situation just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So it's hard to buy in that he's just going to do this again. It's really, really difficult. Again, it's not incredibly, completely intentional that I'm fading him. It's just that it's hard to buy in at this ADP. Again, he's going around Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson, even Amon-Ra. You got to make those decisions. Nick Chubb at one point before he moved up in ADP here. Even Olave, Waddle, all these guys that, maybe you'll have higher ceilings for sure. A lot of them, especially guys like Waddle, Olave, maybe higher floors. It's just there's too much uncertainty with this whole team, and it's hard to take, a lot of shares of Davante Adams. So what do I have? 3.5% total, $77. How many in BBM? 1. Yeah, 1 in BBM. So not a lot of exposure to Davante Adams, in the middle of intentional and not. I've taken him. If he falls, I'll take him, but I'm really not pushing it. It's just weird with the situation that just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So that's my thing with Davante. This next guy is kind of the cover boy for this. This is the guy that everybody seems to love. Everybody seems to love in fantasy, in the fantasy space. He's kind of, like I said, the darling of the apple of a lot of fantasy analysts' eye. I guess I can understand why, but at the same time, it's just not for me. I'm baking in, for better or worse, I'm baking in some injury potential that does exist, whether you kind of like it or not. It absolutely exists. And I realized that his injury didn't come from, being worn down. It was kind of a freak injury, but it happened. And it was a broken leg. It's not like it was a pulled hammy or, a tweak, this or that. He broke his fucking leg. That's a big deal. Who is it? Tony Pollard. And how much do I have of Tony Pollard? Not a single share. In 312 drafts, I don't have a single Tony Pollard share. A little aggressive on my part, yes, but he's been moving up in ADP, which I don't understand. If he had been falling, I definitely would have picked him up. Another thing with Tony Pollard, I just think that the Dallas Cowboys are realistically the only place that makes sense for a trade for Jonathan Taylor. That's the only place that makes sense. They have the cap for it. Jerry Jones loves running backs. And obviously, Jonathan Taylor wants out of town. So let's say Jonathan Taylor gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys, what happens to Tony Pollard's not only shares, what happens to his ADP, what happens to his usage? Right now he's going back end first round. What's his ADP now? 16? Yeah, 16.6. Like, I maybe should have been picking up some shares when he was in the 20s, at the 2-3 turn type of thing, I probably should have been picking up some shares just to have some exposure. But as it was rising, I'm not taking Tony Pollard. I'm just not. I'm baking in the potential for injury with increased usage. If that happens, if he ends up getting too many touches in my eyes, then I'm baking in the injury potential there, because I think it's exponentially higher for a guy like Tony Pollard if he gets fed the ball more than I think he should. And that's just kind of where I'm living and dying with it. This is a live or die take, realistically. This is a hero or goat take. So 0 shares, 312 teams. I have 0, not a single share of Tony Pollard. That's the one that's going to have the fantasy community coming after me and killing me. So leave a comment. Tell me how big of an idiot you think I am. But this is, like I said, that's a hero or the GOAT kind of a take. And we'll see what happens, come season's end. You got to bake in that injury potential, I think. So if you're just joining, 10 likes, and we'll do a little eliminator draft after the BBM draft that we do regardless. So hit that like button if you're just popping in. Next guy on the list, Calvin Ridley. Let's take a look at the exposure for Calvin Ridley. I do have a little bit here as well, 3.2%, but the league fees are really low. So I don't think I took him in a BBM yet. Nope, 0 BBM shares. So took him a fair amount. It just would have been the time that I was drafting. I think I caught him at a reasonable ADP number, low 30s, whatever he was at. But now that he's bumped up to a second round pick and he's cemented as a second round pick, because I think it's only going to get higher as ADP, I'm pretty out at that price. I just don't particularly trust it, if I'm being honest. I can't justify the price tag for Calvin Ridley when, look who he's going around, Devonta Smith. I'd rather take a shot on one of these elite quarterbacks. Derrick Henry's there. T. Higgins is close. I would, if Calvin Ridley is what people think he will be, not particularly what I think he'll be, but I don't have a ton of T. Higgins either. So with T. Higgins and Calvin Ridley, I'm kind of fading both a little bit. I'd rather go after a guy like DK Metcalf, even Deebo Samuel. I'm super, super high on Deebo Samuel this year. So I'd rather pull it back or wait. If it's at the 2-3 turn, I'd rather, probably take, I do a lot of Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, potentially Patrick Mahomes, T. Higgins, things like that, where I'm getting correlated. I'm getting 2 good pieces. And I'm just not clicking Calvin Ridley at this ADP personally. So I did pick up some shares, but again, it was at a time where his ADP was a little bit lower, and I probably wasn't drafting a ton of BBM at that point. So it just kind of is what it is. It's not necessarily, again, like a complete fade. It's just the point in time that I was drafting him didn't really coincide with my Best Ball Mania drafting. So you kind of live by it. It is what it is. Next player that I got, Josh Jacobs. So the weird thing with Josh Jacobs, not a lot of people are taking huge share percentages, I don't think. If you are, send it to me and on Twitter, whatever you want to do, at me, DM me, whatever you want to do. If you have, 25% Josh Jacobs, let me know. But I highly doubt anyone's going to send me that. So the interesting thing with that is his ADP is not dropping. I would take Josh Jacobs if he was in, I guess the 40s right here with, ETN, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. If he was in that area, in that range of running backs, I would probably pick up a few shares. But I just can't justify it with all the hate between him and the franchise right now. So I have 0.6%. but the same amount of entry fees as Calvin Ridley. So I probably have him in a BBM. There you go. But yeah, I just can't justify with all the issues there. If you look at my Zamir White shares, that's how I'm kind of yin-yanging it, 20% Zamir White. So I'm pretty high on the potential of him getting some run at least early. Plus the other thing that is baked in heavily for me with Josh Jacobs is this right here. 340 attempts, 53 carries. I love his catches, receptions. I love that he's a receiving back a little bit. But a fun fact about Josh Jacobs, the guy has never in his career had a touchdown reception. Obviously, touchdown runs, but never. Look at this. Past 2 years, 107 catches and not a single touchdown. He hasn't had a receiving touchdown his entire career. So, fun little fact about Josh Jacobs. But look at this is more what we're probably going to get out of Josh Jacobs realistically. If you think that you're going to get this out of Josh Jacobs that you got last year, I think that's a pipe dream. I do not think that that's going to happen. And there's just no way I can justify his ADP. Again, if he was going a little bit lower, I could justify it. But with where he's going here at the 1-2 turn, the 2-3 turn, halfway through the third round, maybe, I just cannot justify it. And I'm not taking him. I'm not going to be left holding the bag on Josh Jacobs. And again, like if you zig and zag, I have to then be on Zamir White, which I am. So there you go. Next guy on the list. Another guy that I just talked about, if he was going around the same area as Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne. I like Travis Etienne as a player. I think that he should have came out of college a year earlier. 1% ETN, $19 in entry fees. That's insanely low in my opinion. I like this. I like what he did. And again, this is similar point total to where I think Josh Jacobs is going to be. It's just his usage in college. He had 800 plus touches in college. That does not translate to a long career. He already had the Achilles injury in 2021 when he was a rookie, so the injury potential is there. And again, zig and zag, Tank Bigsby, 20%. So it's not that I'm out on the Raiders running backs or the Jaguars running backs. It's that I don't like their starters at cost. I think their backups have standalone value. And if there's an injury or holdout for Josh Jacobs, obviously, then I think that those backup running backs can be potentially league winners with where they're going ADP-wise. So that's what I'm doing, zig and zag, that sort of a thing. I don't believe in Travis Etienne paying off this ADP. I think so. So I'm taking Najee Harris here. If I'm taking a running back in this range, 17% Najee, I'm taking Najee Harris. I'm not taking Travis Etienne. Maybe I would take Josh Jacobs if he fell down to here. I think Jahmyr Gibbs should fall down to here as well. So I have more Gibbs than that, but not a ton of him either. So this whole running back range for me is a little bit dead. Like I'm really not picking running backs after Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard. I'm not taking, obviously don't have a single share. Derrick Henry. So these top running backs, yes, I'm taking. But then after that, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, and Breece Hall, I'm not taking a ton of. And we'll get to those next two guys here. Najee Harris is the one guy that I'm taking out of this group. So not a lot of ETN. Next guy on the list, right there, Joe Mixon. I just said I'm not taking running backs in this range. And call me crazy because I hear a lot of analysts saying that this is the range to take running backs. Take 2 or 3, at least one in this range. I'm not. That's just where I'm at with it. I'm taking these wide receivers, Debo, Allen, Judy, even DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Justin Fields is right there. I don't mind even, a little bit later, but taking Justin Herbert, Drake London. There's all these wide receivers in this area, quarterbacks in this area. Why am I taking these running backs that I just don't believe in? And with Joe Mixon, I've never liked Joe Mixon as a running back. And look at the guard behind me here. I'm a huge Bengals fan. I've never been a big Joe Mixon believer, never been a big fan of him as a human being or a football player. So I'm just not taking a lot of him. I think that we need to think about some injury risk with Joe Mixon. There's some legal issues with Joe Mixon. And outside of a big game last year, like he really wasn't that productive. And look at this, his yards per carry have never been good. The only thing that I will allow people to be on Joe Mixon for is his receptions. 60 receptions last year. No more Samaje Perine. And again, I'm going to say it, with the fading these guys, I'm not fading Cincinnati Bengals running backs. I'm fading the player at ADP. So Chase Brown, 24%. He's one of my most owned players. I think that if Joe Mixon goes down with an injury, Chase Brown is the direct replacement, the direct handcuff, direct replacement for Joe Mixon. That's my thoughts. And I'm not just avoiding these backfields besides the Cowboys, because I'm not taking Rico Dowdle. I'm not taking Deuce Vaughn. I'm not taking the other guy. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not taking him either. Malik Davis, not taking him either. So realistically, that's the backfield that I am avoiding, because I'm not taking Tony Pollard only because his cost is so high for me. I'm not taking him at his ADP. So Joe Mixon, I just don't believe in. I don't like him as a player. And I think that unless he catches that many balls again, he's not going to pay off ADP, in my opinion. And maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. You know, Chris Evans is there, good ball, pass catching back. Chase Brown can definitely catch the ball. So I don't think that it's just, you know, written in stone that Joe Mixon is going to be that guy. Plus, I don't like him. It is what it is. I'm going to blow through some of these just to get through it here and get to this draft. Breece Hall, I'm 0% Breece Hall. I've showed you this before in my exposure episodes. I'm just not taking Breece Hall. I am mixing a little bit of Michael Carter, Dalvin Cook. That was obviously before he signed there and after a little bit. Have I taken, Israel Abanikanda, taking a little bit of that. So it's, again, not necessarily the Jets backfield. It's just the player that, and the reason why torn ACL, I'm not taking him the year after he tore his ACL. You'll hear that again when we talk about Javonte Williams. I'm just not doing it. Dalvin Cook, when he tore his ACL a few years back, and Saquon Barkley, I'm not going to be left holding the bag on that. It's just not worth the risk, in my opinion. Give me Najee Harris, and especially with Dalvin Cook coming in now, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer to avoid Breece Hall. So his ADP is pulling back, and it's because Dalvin Cook signed there. Now I'm just not taking him. It is what it is. I'm just going to stick to my stand. This is the one player so far that I've faded, and not particularly on purpose at all. There is a reason why I faded him. That's Terry McLaurin. The reason I've faded Terry McLaurin, it's not because I don't like him. It's not because I think he's going to have a bad year. It's not because of Sam Howell. It's none of that. I am fading him, though. So let's show the shares here. $35, 2.6%. That's really nothing. And the reason I'm fading Terry McLaurin is Jahan Dotson. That's why. It's not because I don't like the offense. There's no real reason, and I should add some more Terry McLaurin. And if his ADP pulls back because of his little turf toe injury, I will be scooping him up a little bit more. But Jahan Dotson's just a guy that I really, really, really like to draft. I can't really resist him if he's there. I've reached for Jahan Dotson in some drafts, in some situations, some builds. So that's realistically the biggest reason. And even Curtis Samuel, I have a fair amount. 10%. I have a fair amount of Curtis Samuel as well. I think he can have those spike weeks. So it's not necessary. It's not nothing to do with the quarterback, nothing to do with Terry McLaurin. It's a bit of an accident, and that's on me for not, keeping track of my exposures a little better. But that's happening. It is what it is. So next guy, a little bit further down the list. Next guy, Dameon Pierce. And little bit accidental, little bit on purpose. And I have taken some shares, 2.6%, but $100 worth of fees. So I have him on some teams. The biggest reason I'm fading Dameon Pierce in regular best ball, I'll show you right now. The biggest reason, give me a second here, I'm fading Dameon Pierce is right here. So he plays the Tennessee Titans twice in the fantasy playoffs. That's where you make money. That's where you want to get to. Yes, I know you got to get there, and I'm the first one to always say it. You have to get there first. Worry about getting there. But once you do, or if you have Dameon Pierce on your team, the Tennessee Titans are top 3, no question. They're one of, if not the best team against the run. And Dameon Pierce isn't the best pass catching back around. So that's the biggest reason is just his playoff schedule. So, and yeah, I should probably take a little bit more, and I probably will. I have been making a conscious effort to take a little bit more Dameon Pierce, but as I said before, I'm not fading the backfield. I showed you earlier, Devin Singletary, one of my highest owned players. I absolutely have been and will continue to stop drafting Devin Singletary. I'm a little too exposed there. Same with Terrace Marshall. I'm not drafting those two probably for the rest of the season because I have more than enough exposure. But he's the more pass catching back, in my opinion. He had a fantastic catch in preseason there. Dameon Pierce did play, a pretty prominent role, and I have tried to take him a little bit more, but I have to, be transparent. I'm fading him a little bit. Next guy, Mike Evans. Mike Evans is pretty simple. At ADP, 2.2%, $41. He scored 186 fantasy points last year. He got almost 50 of that in one game, which was week 17. One Pat Kerrane, $2 million or whatever it was. Yes, he did, but you can't bank on that. In one game, he had, a quarter of his overall production. Literally. That's just, you can't bank on that. The QB situation's gotten worse, you could say. I think it has for sure. Tom Brady at his age versus Baker Mayfield right now. I think that's still a drop off to Baker Mayfield. So you just can't bank on that. That's almost a full fade. I don't see myself taking him a ton. And another reason why, Chris Godwin, 12.5%. I like Chris Godwin quite a bit more. Kind of catching that over the middle type stuff that Mayfield throws a lot of. If you look at Juice Landry a few years ago on the Browns, he was really good with Baker Mayfield. Not necessarily a guy like Amari Cooper, Odell Beckham, right? Those guys weren't really great with Baker Mayfield. Whereas a guy like Juice Landry, Chris Godwin, in my opinion, will be. So Mike Evans is a pretty easy fade for me. Again, at ADP, a quarter of production in one game. That's just not sustainable. That's not something I'm going to chase. So pretty much a full fade for me for the most part. Next guy, just kidding, Dobbins. So too many issues here, similar with the Stephon Diggs stuff, but with where he's going with Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, I'm taking these guys, even Dameon Pierce, I'm mixing in more. The wide receivers that go around him, George Pickens is a huge click for me, Jahan Dotson, like I talked about. I'm just not taking on that risk. And if you look at Georgia, the Georgia backfield the past couple of years with oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here, the offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, Todd Monken. He kind of rolled through running backs, James Cook, Zamir White, all these guys, Kenny McIntosh, all these guys at Georgia. And, now he comes back to the NFL and they have some, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and J.K. Dobbins isn't practicing and hasn't been practicing, hasn't played in the preseason. So that doesn't really bode well for me. I'm avoiding him. What do I have for percentage? 2.2%, $33, pretty low owned. So there you go. Next one, Jordan Addison. I'm avoiding Jordan Addison for a few reasons here. The biggest reason why is his ADP. Actually, that is the reason why. That's pretty much the only reason why. 2.6%. And again, I'm not avoiding this wide receiver room in Minnesota. I think they lead the league in 3 wide receiver sets. And J.K. Dobbins has already been listed as the number 2 wide receiver on this team. Listed as number 2 wide receiver. If you watched that quarterback show on Netflix, man, there were so many times where the highlight, in that show was Kirk Cousins just overthrowing KJ Osborne. There was like 4 times in that show where it was a long gain, potential touchdowns, whatever it is to KJ Osborne, sorry. And, he's going to be on the field. Oh, and biggest reason, boom, 146 ADP versus 72 or whatever it is. Yeah, 72 for Addison. He's half the price, literally. I'm just not taking Jordan Addison there and give me KJ Osborne every time. Obviously, I take Justin Jefferson whenever I can, but that's pretty rare. You can only get him if you have first overall, maybe second, but I've never gotten him second. I've only got him first. Next guy on the list, Javonte Williams. Where is he? Javonte Williams, full fade for me. Again, reason why. Not only did he tear his ACL, he ripped apart his entire knee. I think he's coming back a little bit too early. Who else did that when they tore their ACL? Who else did that? Saquon Barkley. How'd that work out? Not for me. I'm not taking the risk. His ADP has moved up now that he's been on the field. Just not going to happen. Full fade for me. Not taking Javonte Williams. Next on the list is Michael Pittman. Another guy here, not necessarily on purpose. I should maybe add in a little more, but 2.2%, $54. I'm just not taking a lot of Pittman. If I am taking a risk on these guys on this team, it's probably going to be Alec Pierce, 7.4%, and just take those spike weeks, the high ADOT guy, the downfield threat, that sort of thing. I'm just not taking Mike Pittman, and we'll get to another reason why I'm not in a second here. Next fade, Davis Pang will hate me for this, but I'm fading James Conner. Not a full fade, but I've been fading him for the most part. 1.9%, $73. Just not taking a ton of James Conner. I think this entire team is going to fall apart. If he does this, then it might be a bit of a GOAT situation, but I don't really think I'm going to, hurt that much without having a huge, share of James Conner in my portfolio, but we'll see. Maybe this will kill me. I highly, highly doubt it. I just think this whole team is in shambles. They're going to have to pass if they want to be in games. They're going to get killed. This defense is god awful. So I'm just not taking the running back when the defense is terrible. Look at the Rams. I'll take Rams wide receivers all day because their defense is horrendous. The Cardinals, I'm not taking a ton of their wide receivers either, but I'm more inclined to, obviously that's a quarterback situation, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Couple more guys here. Treylon Burks is my next fade. I'll probably pick up a little bit more if the news stays positive and if his ADP keeps dropping. I'll probably pick up a little bit more Treylon Burks here. $67, 2.9%. Just not drafting a ton of them. The Hopkins coming in, run first team, Tannehill. I'm just not, there's other guys going around him that I like a little bit more. Herbert, even Evan Ingram, Mike Thomas at times, depending on the build. Rashad Bateman, depending on the build. Antonio Gibson, this is a big running back spot for me. Gibson, Dylan, Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, even Freiermuth. Those are the guys I'm taking around him. So that's a big reason why I'm fading there too. And then we're talking about Pittman. A reason why I'm fading Pittman, because I'm fading Anthony Richardson. I know everybody loves him. Another fantasy darling. Oh, he runs the ball, but he runs the ball. $15, 1% of my teams. He runs the ball. It's the cheat code. It's a quarterback cheat code because they run the ball. Man, it doesn't mean that he's going to come in and have a Justin Fields. He's being drafted right now. You're saying that he's going to do Justin Fields in his second season. Look at Justin Fields' first season. Yeah, he didn't play the whole season, but I'm just not taking Anthony Richardson thinking he's going to be Justin Fields last year. He's being drafted as, what is it, the QB 10? Yeah, QB 11 right now. That's insanity to me. He's going before Dak Prescott, who's done it. 330 points. Hurt last year, but 330 points. Daniel Jones, almost 300 points last year. Should be better. Kirk Cousins, 300 points. 300 points. Geno Smith, 300 points. Right? Like, these are the quarterbacks, 330, Aaron Rodgers going after Anthony Richardson, guys that have done it in the NFL. I'm taking these guys. I'm not, if Anthony Richardson fell more, and the 3 times or whatever it is that I took him, he probably fell well past this ADP. And I said, why not? I'll take a swing. But I'm pretty much full fading Anthony Richardson at this cost. I would have taken a little bit here and there, taken some shots, but not at this ADP. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be the guy holding the bag if he doesn't do it. And if you saw that first preseason game, he looked like shit, man. He really, really did not look good in that preseason week 1. I don't care what you say. He did not look good at all. And then he didn't even play week 2, which is insane to me. If I'm the Colts, I'm playing him at least half the game, probably both preseason games. I don't even care. Like, you're going to be like, oh, you go save him. You might get hurt. He needs reps, man, is what he needs. He needs to play. So that's what I'm doing. I would have played him a lot more. It is what it is. I'm pretty much completely out on Anthony Richardson at cost. But let's get into a draft. Let's get into what everybody came for. Let's get into Best Ball Mania. Hit that like button if you see down there. 10 likes on this live stream, and we'll do a quick little eliminator draft after the Best Ball Mania. And see if we can punt that, because I haven't done a draft yet for the eliminator. Fun way to do it. Fun new format. But let's get into this Best Ball Mania. If you're in the chat, A, hit the like button. B, join in the draft if you would like. Got to share my location. There we go. Oh, man. Fresh. So if you're in the chat and you want to get in, there's tons of room. Come and draft with me. Would have been nice if I was the last one to fill, last person to fill the last one, especially because people are probably drafting these little eliminators a fair amount. But this is the only true best ball, unless you're playing a lot of bulldogs or big dogs, $500 entries. This is pretty much the only best ball tournament running right now. And we'll see if they even they need this to fill, or else it's going to be hella overlay. So I don't know if we'll get another, puppy or whatever before the season starts, because they really need this to fill, and the weekly winners. So, and that little eliminator is 93,000 entries or something, only 20 max, $6, yes, but it's only 20 max entry. So it's not a crazy hit to the budget to max enter that thing. And that's probably what's taken so long to, it's not taking too long. 2 left. We're almost there. $10 likes is not a lot, people. Help me out here. All right, where are we? Pick 11. I never get a high pick, man. I never get a high pick. I haven't been the 101 in I don't know how long. I have 7.7% Justin Jefferson with 3 shares in Best Ball Mania in now 60 drafts. Not by design. Every time I'm the 101, I take Justin Jefferson because it's the only time you can get him, and it's the only time I can get some exposure. So, do I recognize anybody in the draft? Not a lot of badges, which is cool. Maybe the badge bros are drafting eliminators right now. Very interesting. Don't recognize a single name. This could be really interesting, this draft, because these are fun ones when shit gets crazy. So we'll see. And things have been getting a lot more wild in the best ball streets these days. So we'll see. People reaching all over the place. It's get your guy season. Right before the season kicks off. Get your guys season. All right. Obviously, no one's gotten out of line yet. I really despise, if you watch this show, you know how much I hate if these drafts go south and potentially get canceled and things like that, because it's a waste of time. And while I'm streaming, makes me upset. But hopefully that we won't run into that issue. But we'll see. Cooper Kupp, that's a guy that I really need to get more exposure to. Cooper Kupp, Bijan Robinson are probably the top 2 first-round guys that that I need more exposure to. So I'll be taking them every time I can in my next, I don't know how many more of these I'll do. Maybe I would say 15 max more to get to 75, half the max entry. But if I can't get either of those guys, maybe this is a good time to take Stephon Diggs, get a share there that bump those numbers up a little bit. A lot of hype around Amon-Ra right now, but his ADP is actually, I think, come down a little bit, which is interesting considering the hype machine. I think he was Matthew Berry's ride or die, I believe. And Mind of Mansion, player profiler. I can't remember the guy's name. The Podfather. He's been hyping up Amon-Ra like crazy. Can't say I agree with all of that, but I can see where you're coming from. I think I am going to go with Garrett Wilson here. I'm just going to guarantee that I get him. I really, really, really like Garrett Wilson this year. I think that that offense is going to be pretty potent with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just going to guarantee that I get him. I would take this other player that I was just talking about, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown. His ADP was higher, but I feel like if this guy takes Nick Chubb, there we go. It shouldn't matter. No harm, no foul. Realistically, I should get more Barkley, and I might just do that, actually. I might just do that. I'm gonna switch it up. I need more Barkley. Get some New York connection here. And to be honest, a big reason why I'm taking Barkley here is I feel like running backs have been, not only feel like, I know running backs have been getting pushed up draft boards. Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard have been getting pushed up draft boards. Even Barkley, to a degree, you used to be able to get to Barkley at the 2-3 turn, which is madness value. So you have to fill out your running back room a little quicker this late in the draft season, this close to the real NFL season, because they're getting pushed up. So either you're going to shut yourself out or do a full zero running back. And I have enough, zero running back, fragile running back, whatever acronym, whatever label, whatever you want to call it. I have enough of that in my portfolio that I need to get some more robust running back, hero running back rosters in there. And that includes guys like Saquon Barkley. I need to get a little more Barkley in my life. Looks like we're good. No one's getting out of line. That's good to see. Shouldn't be an issue with this. 2 running back, Eckler, Pollard. Don't mind that. That's probably actually a fairly unique combination, I think. Bijan and Patrick Mahomes, I think that's relatively unique. Haven't seen that a lot. Kelsey, Waddle, yeah. I don't think I have Garrett Wilson, Saquon Barkley, so that's unique for me. I don't know how unique it is, period. Probably is at this point. Probably pretty unique because you'd have to reach on one of those two, which I did. If you call it a reach, I don't, what is it, 5 picks? I don't call that a reach. Jalen Hurts, Cooper Kupp. You hoping that Devontae Smith falls to you, I guess, when you do that. I'd rather go the other way around and pick the wide receiver first, hope the quarterback falls. That's more likely. If I'm sitting there and pick Justin Jefferson, I have no problem taking Devontae Smith. Mark Andrews goes a little bit early. He's probably setting up the Christian McCaffrey, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. I've got a share or 2 of that. So I don't think that's particularly unique, but it's a very good start. I don't mind the start. You can get unique later. There's no issue with that. You can correlate, get unique later on. Not a big deal. See, if I'm Justin Jefferson here, yeah, I don't mind taking, there you go, Devontae Smith. I don't mind taking Devontae Smith. You can go Ridley here. T. Higgins. You can take a quarterback, running back. You can do a lot of things at this 1-2 turn or 2-3 turn, from the one spot. Obviously depends on who went, but with the early Mark Andrews and the two quarterbacks, really opens it up. Jonathan Taylor, that's probably the one click that I would have certainly not gone with, but if he gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys, we'll see. That'd be really, really, really interesting for both Taylor and Pollard to see what happens for their ADPs. And I think that makes the most sense, man. It just makes the most sense. They have the cap space for him. They want to be a playoff team, obviously. And I think that pushes them into the conversation and potentially puts them over the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys I'm talking about. If the Cowboys add Jonathan Taylor, I would probably call them the favorite to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl in the NFC over the Eagles, over the Niners, if they went out and traded for Jonathan Taylor. Might cost a first-round pick. I probably do that if I'm the Cowboys. They have the cap space to sign him, especially if you don't completely believe that Dak Prescott is your guy. Just makes too much sense to me. Stephon Diggs with Adams and Josh Allen. That's a good-looking start. Mark Andrews, drafter, did not take Lamar, which is interesting. I don't think you had to reach then. Why'd you take, Mark Andrews here? Why not take him at the 27? You should have been okay. But that's just my opinion. There goes Lamar Jackson, of course. We're on the clock. And I don't love, like I said before, the running backs in this range. So I won't be taking one. I'm going to try to get a little bit unique here. Again, maybe just for me. But I'm going to get a little bit, I feel, unique by reaching a little bit. It's not like I'm reaching, a full round, which I never do, especially this early. If you've watched this channel a little bit, I'm not reaching more than 12 picks. I will later, but in the first 12 rounds, probably 10 to 12 rounds, I will not reach a full round almost ever. There's maybe like a 1% exception to the rule where I might reach. But I'm going to go with the Chicago stack, DJ Moore, Justin Fields. Do I love DJ Moore this year? Not incredibly, but I do love Justin Fields. I'll tell you that. I could bring this back with the Cole Kmet. Getting a little heavy on the week 13 bye, but that's not a big deal, especially if it's Cole Kmet as my tight end 2 or one of 3 tight ends, something like that, which I like to do a fair amount, 3 late tight ends. That trend is kind of catching on. I've been doing that for a long time. In the big board, that's all I did. I don't know if I have, more than 5. Oh no, that's not true. I do have a lot of TJ Hawkinson everywhere, even in the big board. But I was doing a lot of those 3 tight ends because my build in that with the extra 2 rounds in the big board, 20 rounds instead of 18. I was picking a lot of 3 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks, 6 and 8. Just made sense to structure it that way to me. So that's what I was doing. Lamar Jackson, Keenan Allen, taking a little bit of a Chargers stand here, but I highly doubt you'll be getting Justin Herbert at 58, even if you wanted him. Not to say you'd want him because Lamar Jackson is there. That's interesting. I don't hate that. There's certainly worse teams to make a bet on their offense. The Chargers could have, they could literally have the number 1 offense in the NFL this year. Small little nugget there. It's not a bad bet to take Justin Herbert to lead the league in passing yards. Not a bad bet at all. What do we have for likes? Hit that like button. If we get to 10, I'll do another little eliminator draft when this draft is over. Kelsey, Waddle, Metcalf, Brees Hall. Interesting start. Don't love Brees Hall, like I said in the lead up here. Don't like Travis Etienne. This is an interesting start as well. Cooper Kupp, Jalen Hurts, love the start, but then you're getting to me, this looks like a panic. This looks like, panic. I need running backs. And like I was saying with that's why I went with Saquon Barkley. I just think that you kind of have to shore up your running back room a little bit earlier as we get closer to the NFL season. Running backs are getting pushed up the board. So in fear of getting shut out, you got to take at least one in the first 2-3 rounds. Realistically, 2 rounds for me. And at the back end of the draft is the place to do it. Eckler, Pollard, Barkley, Chubb, they're all right there. Even Derrick Henry, Bijan falls a little bit. So, as we get closer to the NFL season, running backs are getting pushed up. I've noticed that I've gotten shut out a few times, doing some fragile type running back builds where, maybe I take one in the third or, a Ramondre in the third or, Derrick Henry in the second, something like that. And then I'm waiting too long, get shut out. And it's tough to kind of come back from that. So what are we doing here? What do I need to correlate? Little Atlanta. Could take a look at, did he go? Drake London? Already gone. Yeah, that makes sense. 47. Wishful thinking on my part to get him at 59 overall. TJ Hawkinson, I think, is going to start falling. He's kind of playing a little bit of he's playing a dangerous game with this. Wow, he is there 58th overall, but he gets shut out anyways. That's a good pick right there. All right, where are we at? Could take some Dameon Pierce here. I could take some Dameon Pierce because I'm trying to get a little more exposed to Dameon Pierce purposefully. And I'm going to do that. Again, for fear of getting shut out of the running back room a little bit. But as I talked about in the pre-show there, I have a little bit too much, kind of way too much Devin Singletary. And I need to purposefully mix in more Dameon Pierce. The thing that scares me is that playoff schedule. Tennessee Titans twice in the playoffs. They're one of the best teams against the run. And Dameon Pierce isn't a big pass catcher. It makes me a little nervous taking him a ton, but it is what it is. You got to get there, right? You got to get there. So I need to put up enough points to get there. Definitely taking a wide receiver here, though. And I just can't get enough of, in this situation, especially with my bye weeks, not taking Gabe Davis here. I'll be taking George Pickens. Love me some George Pickens. Love me some George Pickens this year. Pretty highly exposed. I want to get even more exposed. I want to get that probably over 20%, if I'm being honest, for George Pickens. I think ceiling play George Pickens, floor play Deontay Johnson. Their ADPs are getting closer again. There was a point in time where George Pickens was ahead of Deontay Johnson. Did I agree with that? Not particularly. Was I still drafting George Pickens there? Yeah, I was a little bit. But I think Deontay Johnson was down into like the 70s, the low 70s, and Pickens was in the mid 60s. So it wasn't by a crazy amount, but they shifted, they flip-flopped, which makes sense. And I could see a similar thing happening with Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. I could see that happening. So this is already absolutely a unique team for me because I don't have a crazy amount of Barkley. I don't have hardly any Dameon Pierce. So right there, that makes it unique for me. And then I've kind of reached a little bit. If you look at what I did in the first round with Garrett Wilson and Saquon Barkley, that's got to be somewhat unique, especially because Barkley moved up a fair amount. So he was going at the 2-3 turn instead of at the back half at the 1-2 turn. So that's very, very opposite if people are taking Garrett Wilson at the back end of the 1-2 turn, which is where he's always been, right? So obviously it'll get a little more and more unique right now since Barkley's moved up. But again, you have to take Garrett Wilson a little earlier over the likes of, CeeDee Lamb, who was there for me. CeeDee Lamb, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard even, Amon-Ra St. Brown even, all these guys, you got to take Garrett Wilson over purposefully, which I kind of did. Not kind of, I obviously did. So here's another example of kind of, I feel, my opinion, panicking about getting shut out of running back. And two guys that I just had on my pre-show list of being super, super low exposed to. Not that I'm wrong. I'm right and everybody's wrong. That's for damn sure. I could be completely wrong on this, but I don't like these two running backs. I like Kenny Walker. I'm okay with that. But Breece Hall and just kidding Dobbins, I don't love that. And picking 3 straight running backs, it's kind of just seems panicky to me. Not a lot of 0 RB, none. Not a single 0 RB team here on this in this draft. James Cook, I guess, is the first one here with the Buffalo Bills stack. Don't mind this squad, actually. That's a nice looking squad. That's the only kind of 0 RB build that we have here. 4 straight, James Conner, another guy that I'm super low exposed to. So I don't know. I don't like this strategy here. King Mike, my apologies if you're watching. I highly doubt you are, but I really, really don't like this strategy at all. 5th overall, Travis Kelce. Maybe he was planning on bringing back with Patrick Mahomes. I can only assume that he was. And that would look a lot better if you had Mahomes with DK. I'm fine with what you did here, but these 4 straight running backs, I just can't get behind. It just reeks of, fear of missing out on the position as a whole. So that's just my kind of two cents, my take on that situation. So what am I doing here? I like Zay Flowers here. Probably won't take him just because I don't want to, flood week 13 by. And there's some other options that I really don't mind here. I'm probably going my dream next 2 picks. I'm going to take Quentin Johnston because I really like that offense a ton. And if there's an injury to any wide receiver, on that team, Quentin Johnston kind of skyrockets for me. And I would like Alvin Kamara, but I would certainly settle for Isaiah Pacheco. I would even take Sky Moore, but this is the order I will be drafting these guys in. And there goes Kamara. I was going to say I could take Kamara here with these 2 running backs, missing the first few weeks. That's not a big deal when I got Barkley and Pierce holding it down. And then Kamara comes in and helps me out in committee approach. So I like Zay Flowers, but I don't want to get shut out. And I think Pacheco's ADP should rise from here. Should be good to go for week 1. I love the way he plays. I love the way he runs. I'll take Isaiah Pacheco. I don't have enough of him either. So again, this is a very, very, very unique team for me. With the early and the way I'm kind of structuring this. So I think, and I don't think, again, this guy here, this is a perfect example. I really do not think that King Mike here came into this draft thinking that his team would look like this after 7 rounds. I really, really do not. So as you go, you have to start planning your structure. Basically by the time you take your first quarterback, you need to have your structure in mind. So if you're taking an early quarterback right here, Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going quarterback until, rounds 14, 15, 16. I'm not taking another quarterback until well late in the draft. If you haven't drafted a quarterback like, King Mike has, so maybe that's why he's so lost right now. I don't know. Basically he's backed himself into taking 3 quarterbacks, in my opinion. That's kind of what I would do if I'm sitting here right now. I mean, maybe you could get away with, you could take just Deshaun Watson right here, Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott, okay, or Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, maybe Geno Smith. Take 2 of those, and you might be able to get by, but you're kind of backing yourself into a corner. So what I've done is I've essentially said, I'm going to take Justin Fields, and then I'm going to take another quarterback, probably, around, I don't know, 10, 11, 13, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14 at the latest, sort of thing. Depends on correlation. I guess I could go after, Kenny Pickett and stack it up there, especially if I can get Freiermuth right here at the 107, which is probably what I'll do. 106 is his, I think, 107 ADP. So especially if I do get Freiermuth here, who fits with 0 tight ends so far, start thinking about your structure. I could potentially, depending on what I do running back, get away with 5 running backs here. We'll see. We'll see what I do from here on out. Same thing with wide receivers. I could only go with 7. We'll see. But I'm most likely only going with 2 quarterbacks. If I get Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett with Freiermuth and Pickens there, and let's say I do bring in Cole Kmet, I'm not taking another tight end, and I'm not taking another quarterback. So we'll see what happens when it gets there. And if Freiermuth's still on the board, then, Yahoo, but we'll see. Either way, I'm just trying to stress, think about your structure as early as possible. You should realistically have it by by 4th round. By the 4th round, you should have a structure in mind. And to me, that's the most important. This is the most important piece of advice I could give anyone drafting best ball. Roster construction is the most important thing when drafting best ball, in my opinion. Injuries are going to happen. Player takes are going to be wrong. But as long as you structure your team properly, you're going to give yourself kind of a fighting chance. You know what I mean? You're going to give yourself a shot. Deshaun Watson goes real late. Good for him. You're going to give yourself a shot to compete if you're structured properly. So that's the most important piece of advice I could give anyone when talking best ball. Roster construction, roster construction, roster construction. Very, very important. Maybe I'm completely wrong. That's my opinion, though. I dare you to make me change it. Good luck. Won't happen. So where are we? A few picks away. Like I said, I'll be taking Pat Freiermuth if he's there. If he's not, I'm not too concerned about it. I'll figure something else out. And these are the quarter. This is the time right here where I like these running backs. These next 2 rounds: Pacheco, Kamara, even Khalil Herbert, Charbonnet, the Washington Commander running backs, AJ Dillon. Rashad Penny's ADP is still too high for me, being a potential cut candidate. Yeah, he is. I know a lot of people love him, but it looks like he's a cut candidate to me. Kenny Gainwell, one of my highest owned players, just even though everything that's coming out, everything that's being said from beat writers, from the team, from what they're showing in preseason, Kenny Gainwell is going to have a pretty major role. I don't think anyone can argue that, but obviously people will and people do. But just take what's being said, for truth as truth. If you're being told that Kenny Gainwell is going to have a big role, at some point you're going to have to believe it, right? That's just my opinion, my 2 cents on it. I like Kenny Gainwell. I'm drafting him quite a bit. Definitely going to take Freiermuth. That makes it easy. Then I'll have to bring it back with Kenny Pickett and probably only go. We'll see if I do end up getting Cole Kmet. If he falls to me ADP wise, I'm certainly not reaching on Cole Kmet. That's for sure. But if it works out, I'll take him and I'll only have 2 tight ends. And then if I get Pickett, I'll only have 2 quarterbacks. So there you go. If you're just popping in, you see the ticker below, smash that like button for me. If we get to 10, it's not asking a crazy amount, 10 likes, we'll do a little eliminator draft that just opened up on Underdog. New tournament. Should be fun. I haven't done any yet, so it'd be fun to do it on stream. Hit that like button. Where are we going here? I like Romeo Doubs here. I don't mind Juju Smith-Schuster because I think he's going to get a little bit of buzz. I think he's going to get a little bit of push, a little buzz. I could take Tank Bigsby here too. I have a ton of them, so I'm not sure if it's entirely necessary. I like Romeo Doubs. I'm going to take Juju, though. I don't think I have enough of him, and he could be successful in this offense. I think. Am I wrong? Maybe. We'll see. I'm willing to kind of take that bet in the 10th round. It's not like I'm investing a crazy amount of capital. And even if I get what he had last year, 150 points roughly. Like I said in the pre-show about Mike Evans, if Mike Evans didn't have that 50-point week 17 at the end of the friggin' season, he would have been right there points-wise total over the season as Juju Smith-Schuster finished last year. So why is Mike Evans going as high as he's going? Beyond me. Way beyond me. Let's jump back into this view here. Actually, let's take a look. Leaves practice early. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to take a look at that. I'm going to have to take a look at that before I just blindly click Cole Kmet. What happened? Does anyone know? Is he hurt? Injury concerns. Uh-oh. Can't draft him without knowing. Didn't comment on the injury. Speak to the media. Rode out on a cart. Walked to the cart, but rode out on the cart. They're bringing the cart out for a lot of things that maybe they do or don't need to. I don't think I need to take the risk with this build. I already have DJ Moore on the roster. I don't need Cole Kmet. And with that injury concern, no need, especially at the tight end position where I can, draft 3 late or 2 more late, obviously with Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, I don't want to get killed on that one. A little bit of a run on quarterbacks here. Geno, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. That's okay. I'm sitting here looking all right with Justin Fields and hopefully Kenny Pickett that I'll obviously be adding to finish up my Pickens Freiermuth stack. And I'll be done at quarterback with Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett. I'm okay with that. Brings it in with the running back stack. Dalvin Cook with Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard. Any Browns? No Cleveland Browns. You can bring back a wide receiver pretty easily with that to correlate if you'd like. And here's King Mike taking his quarterbacks, double attacking Dak Prescott and Geno Smith. That's kind of 2 options that I gave. Talking about his team earlier. Should likely be done at quarterback after that. I probably would be. I'm okay with Dak and Geno. I'm okay with that pairing. Obviously, bye weeks don't overlap, so you're okay there. I'm okay with those two. That's probably where I would cut it off as far as having a 2 quarterback build is along those lines. Yeah, even with Goff and another guy, it's a little sketchy. I mean Goff, Wilson. I guess that's where I'd cut it off. Derek Carr, maybe if I had a stronger QB1. So if I had like Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, and one of those few quarterbacks that I just named there, I might be okay. Carr, Wilson, Goff, I might be okay with 2 if I had a stronger QB1, but I'm okay with that pairing for him. If you're joining in, hit that like button. If we get to 10, we're doing a little eliminator. Just got dropped on UD. I haven't done one yet, so maybe it'll be fun. Maybe I'll embarrass myself. I don't know, but I'll be drafting probably 20 of those, maxing them out. Fun, different way to look at fantasy this season. I will likely be going with I'm going to take some correlation week 17, get Tyler Algier to pair up with DJ Moore, Justin Fields. Correlates okay with my running back room as far as bye weeks and just what I have going on. He's a direct handcuff, straight handcuff to Bijan. So don't mind that. And then I'm not going to take Darnell Mooney here. And that's maybe what people are thinking, but I'm definitely not taking Darnell Mooney. I don't think it's necessary at all to double stack Justin Fields. And if you do, I'm doing it with Cole Kmet and a wide receiver, not 2 wide receivers. That's just how I'm doing it personally. And then I kind of talked pre-show about it a little bit with this LA Rams offense. I have an absolute ton of Van Jefferson, and I'm going to keep drafting him. I really like him as a player. His rookie season was quite solid, and that was as a rookie. He was hurt last year, so it is what it is. But with this team being so terrible on defense, the Rams might have – it's between the Rams and the Cardinals. So the NFC West, I've been saying it for a long time. The NFC West, meaning Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, 49er wide receivers and Seahawk wide receivers, I'm keying on those guys as much as I can because the Rams and the Cardinals defenses are fucking terrible. They are awful. They're probably the 2 worst defenses in the NFL, and they play in the same division. So 4 games for those 2 teams, Seahawks and 49ers. You're getting 4 games where they're going to just blow them out of the water, in my opinion. But the reason I'm saying all this for the Rams wide receivers, I don't like the Cardinals quarterback room, obviously. Matt Stafford, if healthy, he's a gunslinger, man. He can absolutely sling the rock. And Van Jefferson's the wide receiver 2 in that team. Cooper Kupp's going to get double teamed all day, but he'll still get his, absolutely. He'll get 20 to 25 friggin' targets. But there'll be enough there for Van Jefferson, a 12th round Van Jefferson. There'll be enough there for him to contribute and have a couple spike weeks. He could certainly get in the end zone twice in a week, especially against, the Cardinals and the Rams. Or the Rams. He plays for the Rams, especially against the Cardinals. But the 49ers secondary is nothing to, write home about. That's for sure. Their front seven's very good shape and still very dangerous. And it's going to make that back end better for the 49ers. But San Francisco secondary is not in a great spot. Hufanga is great, but he plays more like a linebacker. But their corners are not anything to write home about. So if the Rams are getting their asses kicked every week, they're going to be slinging the rock. And I think Van Jefferson is a guy that can absolutely eat. So I'm drafting a ton of them. I'm also drafting probably more Tutu Atwell than anyone else out there. I'd put a bet on that. Let's take a look. Since I brought it up, I don't want to just talk shit and not, back it up. 312 teams, 9.3% Tutu Atwell. $270 in fees. That's probably more than anyone else has, I would imagine. Show me someone else that has more Tutu Atwell, and I'll say you're cool. You're a smart guy. Or girl. Shout out maybe Hope Bishop maybe has some Tutu. I don't know. Do I take Holcomb if he falls to me here? I don't know. I don't know if I can. I can't because I got to take Kenny Pickett. Do I want to take the risk that this guy doesn't pick Kenny Pickett? No, I do not, because he's got Freiermuth. So, or that's me. Jeez, it switched. I don't know. It's risky. It's risky. Things get a little sketchy. Little run on quarterback here too. Is Purdy going ahead of ADP? Quite a bit ahead of ADP. I have no choice. I have to take Kenny Pickett here, and hopefully no one reaches on him for no particularly good reason. Because I really would like my Pittsburgh Steelers stack to come to fruition. It'd be a shame. It's always a shame when it's before, he's 162, I'm 155. I'm taking him 7 picks, half a round ahead of ADP. And I set it up with the Pickens, with the Freiermuth right at ADP. It's always a shame if you get sniped like that. But we'll see. Bless me. Little sneeze there. Mute the mic for everybody. All right, you can't take a third QB. Okay, good. I'll just take Kenny Pickett here. There's enough there that I'll be taking a wide receiver, and there's enough there that I'm not too worried about getting sniped on somebody. So I'll leave it there. I can even take another running back. There's 2 running. I like Raheem Mostert. I like Marvin Mims. I like Kenny Gainwell. This is why I take Pickett here. Cole Kmet, even KJ Osborne. I talked about him in the pre-show. Love me some KJ Osborne. So any of these guys, I'll be taking one of these guys. Even Mingo, I need to get a little more of. And I might even just take Mingo because I have so much friggin' Terrace Marshall, and I need to hedge that bet a little bit. And I like the playoff schedule for the Panthers. I really don't mind Raheem Mostert here. How is he dropping so far? I feel like people really think that Jonathan Taylor is going to go to the Dolphins. I do not think that. If they didn't sign Dalvin Cook, they're not going to trade a boatload for Jonathan Taylor. It's not going to happen. And then sign him to a contract as well. So I'm going to take Mostert here, who's the starter. He's looked good. I've tried to pick up more shares of Mostert, especially that far past ADP, full round plus, round and a half of ADP value on Mostert. Makes this unique lineup even that much more unique. I think this is unique. I think this is a unique lineup. I'd be shocked if anyone, this was a dupe. There's no way. There's no way. Almost then, it'd be tough. It'd be hard pressed to find any duplicate lineups, in my opinion. Maybe there is. That'd be crazy if 2 duplicates won the same tournament or something. That'd be interesting. Yeah. 4 more picks. As far as my roster construction, obviously I hammered at home how important roster construction is. I'm done at quarterback. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett. That's pretty fringe. It's certainly pretty fringe. But if I believe at 38th overall, 5 picks ahead of ADP, that's not a big deal. But if I have to believe that Justin Fields is that guy. I have to believe that he's going to be able to carry this team. Musgrave, wow, he's getting steamed. 165, that's crazy. I have to believe if I take him that early, you have to believe that he's the guy. And therefore, if I was taking Patrick Mahomes a round earlier, I'm taking a quarterback later than round 13, right? So therefore, if I'm taking Justin Fields there and I think it's kind of fringe, I'm going to bump up my second QB a little bit higher. And I'm okay with Kenny Pickett being my QB2, especially look what he's done in the preseason so far. And I got my full stack. Oh, wow. Even Sam Howell just went. He's going to get steamed up even more. I got some Sam Howell shares. Maybe not enough if he's getting steamed up that high. Same with Musgrave. He's getting steamed up that high. I don't have enough Musgrave because I'm not taking him that high. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Wow. Gainwell and Komet are free falling. If Komet's still there, I got to take him. I don't like that he got carted off. He did walk to the cart, is what they said. It's a little sketchy. Still maybe not necessary. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Even if he's there, it's hard not to. 30 picks past ADP. How is Kenny Gainwell falling so far? That's insane. Something happened to Kenny G? Well, there he goes. I would have taken Kenny G, no question. Even to have 3 bye week 10 running backs, and I'm not even sure I need 6 running backs at all, but I probably would have taken him if I'm getting that kind of value. Man, Cole Kmet. I really don't want to take Cole Kmet. I really don't. Someone take him, please. Oh, yeah. If he's there, how do I not take Cole Kmet? Someone talk me out of it in the chat. Tank Dell, I like here. Conklin, I love. Hunter Henry, I love. 30+ picks past ADP. Did he break his leg? Did he tear his ACL? What happened to Cole Kmet here? On a cart. Okay. Takes it out of my hands. I love that. Thank you. Now, do I go Tank Dell or Jaden Reed? I already got Dameon Pierce. I was leaning Jaden Reed anyways, but if I have Dameon Pierce, that'll push it over the edge for me, and I'll just take Jaden Reed here. And then I will most certainly be taking a tight end, which will either be Conklin or Henry. Again, I'm leaning. Oh, man, I don't know if I want to do that either because I've got Garrett Wilson and Juju Smith-Schuster. If I'm taking a bet on an offense, then I'm taking a bet on the Jets offense, given the quarterback. I think I would still take 3 tight ends in this build, even with Freiermuth and Tyler Conklin. If I had Aaron Rodgers, I would maybe be okay with just the 2, but then I wouldn't be okay with Kenny Pickett and Aaron Rodgers. So Ty Conklin it is. 2 more picks. I'm taking another tight end, and I will take running back or wide receiver. That's really close for me. I'm probably going to go. That's really close for me. We'll see. It's tight end or running back, tight end and running back or wide receiver. Definitely taking a third tight end. I just am not that comfortable enough to take Freiermuth and Conklin throughout the whole season. I need a third for sure. And that's no problem. If Hunter Henry's there, I will take him, even though I have Juju. I'll take Cade Otton, especially in this build. Probably have more Cade Otton than most people. I will absolutely take Cole Turner. Love me some Cole Turner. And I would go like that, actually. Unless it's Hunter Henry. That's what I'm doing. Hunter Henry, Cole Turner, Kate Otten. If people aren't talking about Cole Turner, they should be. People aren't talking about Cole Turner enough. I've started the conversation. Look what he's been doing in the preseason. He looks great. He looks really, really good, in my opinion. Spent some time at tight end U with George Kittle and Kelsey and the boys. And from what I heard, he looked really good there. Soaked it all in. Learned a lot. Second year tight end. Obviously didn't have a huge year at all. But he's looking really good in the preseason. And Eric Bieniemy coming from Kansas City with obviously Travis Kelce. And I highly doubt Logan Thomas is going to be playing much this year, given his injury history and his little bit of an advanced age. Give me some Cole Turner. Give me some Cole Turner. I've been picking up shares. I'm only at like 1% because I've only started drafting him in the last week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks. So again, I've started the conversation. 215 still is ADP. And if that's the case, as long as Hunter Henry's gone, if Hunter Henry's gone by the time it gets to me, which I assume he will be, then I have to take a running back or wide receiver before I take my third tight end, because there's no way I'm reaching that far. I don't need to reach. And I mean, I'm already reaching with my 18th round pick because it's early. So it is what it is. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I'm only 2 picks away, but this guy needs wide receiver help, potentially needs running backs. So yeah, there's no reason to risk it. I'll take whoever I like the most, essentially. And then I'll take Cole Turner because I highly doubt this guy with 3 tight ends is taking Cole Turner. It's just not going to happen. And there goes Hunter Henry. Makes sense. Oh, these two are getting shut out. Waller and Ingram getting shut out over tight end a little bit. I mean, you can bring it back. I like Waller. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Waller and, Hayden Hurst. Or either the two that I have in my queue. So hopefully he doesn't go there. Yeah, Hayden Hurst. That makes sense. If have Evan Ingram here, I'm taking Cole Turner and Kate Otten. Maybe Noah Fant in there. You can mix in Trey McBride, but Mayer, I don't like that personally, but that's okay. All right, what am I doing? Running back or tight or wide receiver? I would take Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I've already got Pacheco, so I'm okay on that. I would take Kyron Williams, but I've already got 2 week 10 bye weeks. And Van Jefferson. Looks like I'm going to go with a wide receiver then. And that means it's either Deontay Hardy or Darius Slayton. And it will be Deontay Hardy because I have Juju and I already have Barkley. So I'm taking Deontay Hardy there. Should be the slot receiver in Buffalo. Looks like he's going to be, which is a pretty coveted place to be in that offense. There's going to be some spike weeks for sure. A little bit of correlation there with Juju. I mean, Van Jefferson already correlates with Saquon, so there you go. A little bit of Atlanta, Chicago correlation. No Fant wouldn't be the worst thing here to correlate with my Pittsburgh Steelers stack. That's actually probably the correct pick. If I'm being honest, the correct pick here is probably no Fant. but I'm going to take Cole Turner. I just like Cole Turner. I really like him this year. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm going to take Cole Turner. I'm going to stick to my guns. Take Cole Turner. No offense, probably the correct pick right there. But, Will Disley plays more than I would like. Colby Parkinson plays more than I would like. There's 3 other wide receivers. And yes, there's 3 other wide receivers with Washington as well. Depending on what happens with Terry McLaurin in the next little bit, I'm sure he'll be back certainly by, week 2, 3 at the absolute latest. And I'm just trying to pick up more shares of Cole Turner. I think he's looking really good. I like what I've seen the preseason so far. And I'm just trying to pick up more shares. So there you go. Right or wrong, it's fucking 18th round pick. So I'm not too concerned. Doesn't look like we're going to get to 10 likes. I was hopeful. But if you're in the chat, or if you're watching, I will be drafting maybe 1 or 2 of those tonight after the stream, which is wrapping up in the next few minutes here. So jump in and maybe you'll see me in there. Rico Dowdle. We got a Rico Dowdle sighting. Puka Nacua. I'm going Tutu Atwell there like I just showed in my exposures. I'm going Tutu Atwell over Puka personally. I'll take the second round talent, the speed. He had multiple 50-plus catches, 1 for a touchdown last year. Give me Tutu Atwell over Puka Nacua. Quez Watkins. Do you have a little Jalen? Yep, that makes sense. Reached on Luke Musgrave a bit. Hunter Henry. Dallas Goedert. I think Goddard and Henry would have been okay for you, to be honest, but that's okay. It's an interesting little build. And there goes Logan Thomas, eh? Okay. Hedging my bet, are you? So the team ends up Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, Saquon Barkley, Dameon Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Algier, Raheem Mostert at a huge discount, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, George Pickens, Quentin Johnston, Juju Smith-Schuster, Van Jefferson, Jaden Reed, Deontay Hardy, 3 tight ends, Pat Freiermuth, Tyler Conklin, and Cole Turner. I got a full stack with Freiermuth, Pickens, and Pickett. A little mini stack, Justin Fields with DJ Moore. Bring it back with Tyler Algier. Again, I think the last pick for me, the correct pick was probably Noah Fant there to get that 17th week correlation with my Pittsburgh double stack, but it is what it is. I like Cole Turner. If you could do me a favor, smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I was hoping we get to 10 likes so we could get that little eliminator going. I will be drafting in a little bit here, so hop in. If you see me in there, say what's up on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. Like we always say with Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we were right, and we'll get